Rolling into the heart of the old parish of Rotherhithe, we trundle along Elephant Lane to board the Ship, a very tidy-looking 1930s edifice on the corner of St Mary's Street. Its predecessor stood in Old Church Street backing onto the graveyard. Today that site is occupied by a small block of flats called Henley Close, named after Councillor Albert Henley, Mayor of Bermondsey, who was killed in World War II by a bomb which hit the Mayor's parlour at the Town Hall. Whilst he was crossing to the Town Hall after putting out firebombs on the roof of a neighbouring building, Albert Henley was in a courtyard when he was killed by the blast. The Mayoress, who was not injured, was in the municipal offices next door. She succeeded her husband in office. Completed just after hostilities had broken out in Europe, the Ship was rebuilt by Taylor Walker & Co Limited of Limehouse. The company had dragged their heels somewhat after a scare in 1930 when the licence of the Ship was considered for redundancy. It was in February of that year that an adjourned general meeting of the licensed justices for the Newington Division, a total of 19 public houses were considered for redundancy, including the Europa Inn and the New Dock Inn, both houses also located in St Mary's Street. When the case for the Ship was brought up, Mr E. W. Preston, surveyor to the justices, reported that within a radius of a quarter of a mile there were 16 fully licensed houses and 7 beer houses. He added the Ship was a small single-fronted house of rather poor appearance. Applying for the renewal on behalf of the owners, Taylor Walker & Co Limited, and also the licensee Mr A. H. Tollady, the legal representative, Sidney Lamb, stated that the house was opposite the East India Wharf, and 10 months ago was decorated. In 1927, the present licensee had paid £900 for the goodwill and fixtures, and the total sum invested by him in the house approximated to £1,000. Since 1927 the trade had increased. The Ship and Europa Inn escaped this cull of licensed houses. The New Dock Inn was not so fortunate, and its closure was ordered. The Ship was a fortunate survivor of the air raids, the Luftwaffe doing their best to obliterate the dock area. Britain did the same to them, not that it makes it right. In the next war we will all be gone, or live in a bunker clutching a Geiger counter. Note that in the post-war photograph the road junction is close to the pub frontage. This was later extended and a couple of trees planted, the pub taking advantage of the extra pavement by creating an outdoor seating area. I really like this style of building, harking back to the Georgian period but updated with some arts and crafts and a dash of Art Deco. Featuring a modest parapet which bears the house name, the red brick structure has cream faience surrounds to the ground floor of windows. Brown faience was deployed to create a plinth to the neat, crisp building. The Ship, or at least the publican Daniel Hayes, was part of a story that went Victorian viral in 1884. It was the first case in London after the Public House Act of 1883 that made it illegal for workers to be paid in a public house. The proper title was the Payment of Wages in Public Houses Prohibition Act. In the case heard at Greenwich Police Court in August 1884, Inspector Galpin, M Division, stated that on passing the new Act the licensed victuallers and contractors in this district were warned of the consequences of permitting men to be paid in public houses. He cautioned Mr Hayes on March the 14th last, he told the bench. Detective Sergeant Goddard, M Division, said that on the 23rd of July, about 6:30 in the evening, he went in company with Detective Tolley to the Ship public house. He saw a number of men in the bar, and as they entered, a man rushed to the back of the house. Witness and Detective Tolley followed him and saw him enter a room in which there were about 12 men standing around a table. Jeremiah Marney was sitting at the table, and there was some silver lying before him, and a box containing money. He saw a man receive money from Blarney and put it in his pocket. Eugene Daly was also sitting at the table with a pencil in his hand. He was writing in a book. The police saw it for what it was, payment of wages for dock workers. Marnie and Daly were gangers and supplied labour to the Surrey commercial docks. As licensee, Daniel Hayes was given a lenient fine of £5 for allowing this to occur in the ship, but it sent a message to other publicans that such practices were not to be tolerated. Later in the month, Daniel Hayes was to feature in another story that went viral in the Victorian newspapers, despite the fact that he was dead. On Friday, August the 15th, 1884, Mr. Wynne E. Baxter held an inquest at Guy's Hospital, London, on the body of Catherine Hayes, aged 72, residing at the ship, who died from drinking carbolic acid out of a bottle mistaken for beer. The evidence showed that on the previous Wednesday, the son of the deceased, who was the proprietor of the house, was to be buried, and just before the funeral she was found foaming at the mouth in the clubroom. The cork was out of a half-gallon bottle containing carbolic acid, which had been used in the room where the corpse of the publican was lying. She had, it was reported, evidently drunk the contents of the bottle in mistake for beer. A verdict was returned of death from misadventure. Thanks for viewing this video. You can use the links to view the previous sections or move forwards along the journey. You can also follow the link to view or download a Garmin file in order to follow the route yourself. Enjoy and ride safe.